Live in harmony with those around you. That's today's quote from Marcus Aurelius. And it's one that we don't really think about all that much. I mean, we think about being harmonious in our relationships. But what does that actually look like? Well, the Stoics had a lot to say about this. And so that's what we're gonna talk about today. Welcome to the channel. You know, if you've been here for any length of time, you know that one of the things we do here is study the ancient philosophy of Stoicism. But for those of you who are new, real quick, let me just explain. Stoicism was founded 2,300 years ago by Zeno of Citium, and at its core, Stoicism is a philosophy of accepting the things that we cannot change, changing the things that we can, and then understanding the difference between the two. Stoicism has helped people throughout history be better, not only in their philosophy, but also in their personal lives. People like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, George Washington, Nelson Mandela, and even modern-day celebrities like Ryan Holiday and Meek Mill have all studied Stoicism and implemented it into their lives. And they'll tell you that it's not a set of rules, but rather a lens through which you view the world. So if you like the sound of that, go ahead and hit subscribe and join our growing community. So today's quote is from Marcus Aurelius. This was the last emperor of ancient Rome and the last of the 5 good emperors. He ruled from 161 to 180 AD, and during his rule, he wrote this book called Meditations. It wasn't meant to be published, but it was his private journal, and in this journal, he talks about his struggles with his demons, with his thoughts, and ultimately with life itself. And these writings have helped people for nearly 2,000 years. And the passage that inspired today's quote is from Book 4 of Meditations. In this section, Marcus Aurelius is talking about how he needs to be more harmonious with the people around him. Let's take a look. Harmony with others comes from you harmonizing with them, from you accommodating for them, from you putting aside your own interests, your anger, your preferences, your impulses, your self-absorption. Just as the parts of a well-tuned instrument are in harmony with one another, so too are the people in harmony with one another. If each person were to play their own tune on their own instrument, there would be discord. So it is with people too. Each person has to put aside their own self-absorption, their own ego, their own petty concerns and desires, and harmonize with everyone else. This is Marcus Aurelius. Now before we dive into this quote, I want to thank our sponsor for this episode, Publix. So let's just take a step back for a second and ask a simple question. What exactly does it mean to live in harmony? Well, the obvious answer is to be in a state of peace or agreement. Like you and I could be in harmony if we both like the same types of music. But harmony can also refer to how the different parts of something work together, like the different parts of an orchestra or the different parts of a machine. And that's what Marcus is getting at here. The different parts of a machine only work if they all work together. And the same is true for us and the people around us. Now, I think most of us understand this intellectually, right? We know that in order for us to function as a society, we need to be able to coexist peacefully. But I don't think most of us understand how difficult it is to actually pull off. You see, it's not enough for everyone to just get along, right? They need to work towards a common goal. They need to sacrifice for each other. They need to show up. And all of these things require work. And that's the point. Harmony is not easy. It's not effortless. It takes constant work. But what does that look like? How do we put this into practice? Well, the first part of the passage gives us some clues. Harmony with others comes from you harmonizing with them, from you accommodating for them. This is where the idea of putting someone else's interest above your own comes from. Not in every situation, mind you, but in situations where it matters. Because look, when you're trying to build something, whether it's a business, a team, a family, a community, you can't all just look out for number one, right? Someone has to take the minutes in the meeting. Someone has to clean up after dinner. Someone has to make the tough call when no one else wants to. And this is what it means to put someone else's interest above your own. It doesn't mean you never look out for yourself, but it does mean that you look out for others when it counts. From you accommodating for them, from you putting aside your own interests, your anger, your preferences, your impulses, your self-absorption. These are the things that hold us back. These are the things that keep us from working together. When we bring our egos to the table, when we bring our selfishness to the table, when we bring our anger to the table, when we bring our unworkable ideas to the table, we are less likely to find harmony. Because here's the thing, right? No one else cares about your anger. No one else cares about your preferences. No one else cares about your impulses. They're not responsible for those. And when you bring those things to a group setting, you're infecting everyone else with them. There's a great story about Steve Jobs that I always tell in class. Jobs was notorious for being difficult to work with, right? He was temperamental. He was moody. He was selfish. He was demanding. And yet he was brilliant. He was visionary. He was talented. And so you can imagine that Apple was probably a pretty difficult place to work. But one day he went to visit a local ad agency that had done some really great work for Apple in the past. And he walked in and he was just rude to everyone. And he was condescending and he was critical. And everyone just kind of sat there and took it because, again, he was Steve Jobs, right? But then one of the junior copywriters, a young woman, stood up and she said, "Hey, why don't you come with me? I'll show you what we're working on." And Jobs said, "No, I don't want to see it. It's probably garbage." But she insisted. And so she took him to her desk and showed him this campaign that she had been working on for weeks. And it was amazing. It was beautiful. It was clever. It was funny. And as they were looking through it, Jobs turned to her and he apologized and he said, "I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you were the one who did this. I thought it was the art director. I'm sorry. Can I buy you lunch?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." And so they went out to lunch and he asked her why she didn't complain, why she didn't push back against him. And she said, "Because you were right. I knew that you didn't mean it personally. And besides, what was I gonna do? Complain about the genius behind the Macintosh, please." And so this is the idea of putting aside your own ego, putting aside your own anger, putting aside your own preferences. Sometimes you just do it because that's what it takes to build something bigger than yourself. From you harmonizing with them, from you accommodating for them, from you putting aside your own interests, your anger, your preferences, your impulses, your self-absorption. And Marcus finishes the passage with this little metaphor. Just as the parts of a well-tuned instrument are in harmony with one another, so too are the people in harmony with one another. If each person were to play their own tune on their own instrument, there would be discord. So it is with people too. Each person has to put aside their own self-absorption, their own ego, their own petty concerns and desires, and harmonize with everyone else. Now, I love this metaphor because it's so simple, right? If you've ever played an instrument, you know that if everyone plays their own tune, everything sounds terrible, right? The point of an instrument is to play in harmony with the other instruments. And this is the same with people. The way to achieve harmony is not to play your loudest, it's to play your best. And what that means is that sometimes you have to put aside your own concerns, your own goals, your own dreams, and you have to put the team first. There's a great story about Pat Riley, who's this legendary basketball coach. He coached the Lakers in the Showtime era. He won 5 championships. He's considered one of the greatest coaches of all time. And one of his rules was that everyone had to put the team first. He believed that if you put the team first, that everything else would take care of itself. And he famously benched a guy named Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was arguably the greatest player of all time, because he wasn't passing the ball enough. Now, imagine being that coach. Imagine benching Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But Riley knew that if he didn't do it, that the team wouldn't be successful. So he put the team first. And that decision led them to 3 straight championships. The key to living in harmony, according to Marcus Aurelius, is to put something else first. But what about when you're in harmony with others? What does that look like? Well, Marcus says that it looks like peace, and not just any kind of peace, inner peace. Because when you're in harmony with others, when you're working towards a common goal, when you're playing your part, then you can stop worrying about the noise that's coming from outside. You can focus on what you need to do without distraction. You can find a kind of inner peace. And this is the ultimate goal, to find inner peace so that you can be a source of harmony for everyone else. Because here's the thing, we don't get to choose when and where we find harmony. It's not like we get to wake up one day and say, "Today I'm gonna find harmony." It's more like harmony finds us when we least expect it. It is when we look up from our work and we see that we are surrounded by people who are doing the same. It's when we look around and we realize that we're part of something bigger than ourselves. It's when we feel that connection that we're no longer alone. And in that moment, we find harmony. And that's what Marcus is getting at here. That inner peace that comes from being part of something larger than ourselves. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you can use this in your own life. Look for opportunities to be in harmony with others. Look for opportunities to help your team, to help your organization, to help your family, to help your friends. Because when we do that, we not only make their lives better, but we make our own lives better too. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy another video we did on Marcus Aurelius and the power of small habits. Click here to check it out. And until next time, thanks for watching.